They thought humanity was extinct, until they found the first message buried beneath the ruins. The research vessel hovered over what was once a great city. Now, it was nothing but dust-covered skeletons of buildings, long since abandoned. Skyscrapers stood like broken teeth in the endless wasteland. The sky, once filled with human life, was empty. No voices. No movement. Just silence. Karan adjusted his visor as he stepped onto the cracked pavement. The wind howled through the ruins, carrying the scent of forgotten history. His team, 3 other researchers from the Xiphron Empire, moved cautiously behind him. Their mission was clear: find evidence of humanity's final days and record their downfall. Their kind was weak, Rovak muttered, scanning the ruins with his advanced sensors. They had no place among the great civilizations. It was only a matter of time before they fell. Karan didn't respond. Something about this place felt wrong. It wasn't just abandoned, it felt watched. Then, he saw it. A single, metallic structure stood untouched amid the rubble. It was small, hidden beneath the shadow of a collapsed monument. Karan stepped closer, brushing away the dust. The structure was sealed, but a faint blue glow emanated from its surface. "What is this?" he whispered. Rovak scoffed. Another failed human experiment, no doubt. But Karan's fingers traced something familiar, a pattern, a language. He activated his translation module. The symbols twisted and reformed into words. Human words. His eyes widened. It was a message. And it read, "We are still here." Silence fell over the team. Rovak's mandibles clicked in annoyance. A trick. A meaningless phrase left by the dying. Karan shook his head. His heart pounded. This was not a random inscription. The structure wasn't decayed like the rest. It was preserved. As if someone had left it behind, intentionally. Then, the ground trembled. A faint hum filled the air, and the structure responded to their presence. The blue glow intensified. A faint click echoed through the ruins. The seal was opening. Karan took a step back as the metallic door slid away, revealing something impossible inside. A message. No, a recording, preserved for centuries. A voice crackled to life. A human voice. "If you're hearing this, then we succeeded." Karan's breath caught in his throat. He turned to Rovak, but the proud Xiphron was speechless. The recording continued. "We knew the end was coming. But we did not fall. We did not die. We made a choice." The message cut off abruptly, leaving only static behind. Karan turned back to the ruins, his mind racing. What did humanity mean by choice? The recording's final words echoed in Karan's mind. "We made a choice." The static buzzed in the air before fading into silence, leaving only the howling wind between the ruins. The Xiphron team stood frozen, staring at the ancient device as if it had spoken from beyond time itself. Rovak's mandibles clicked sharply. This is nonsense. A dying species clinging to false hope. Nothing more. Karan wasn't convinced. The structure they had found was not decayed. It had survived centuries untouched, waiting for someone to discover it. Someone like them. He knelt and activated his scanner, searching for anything that might give them a clue. His device beeped. "There's something else here," he muttered. "Something deeper." Rovak sighed, his patience clearly wearing thin. "We came here to document their failure, not chase ghosts." Ignoring him, Karan adjusted his scanner and pinpointed a weak energy signature beneath the ruins. He pressed his hand against the metal floor, and suddenly, the entire ground shifted. A hidden panel slid open with a soft hiss. Beneath it, a metal staircase spiraled downward into darkness. Karan glanced at Rovak. Still think there's nothing here? Rovak growled but said nothing. With careful steps, Karan led the team into the unknown. The deeper they descended, the colder it became. The tunnel was old but pristine, as if someone had maintained it even after all this time. Their lights flickered as they moved, illuminating the metallic walls engraved with human text. Then, they reached a door. It was circular, reinforced with layers of security, biometric locks, mechanical seals, technology far beyond what a failed species should have had. Karan's translator picked up faded markings above the door. For those who seek the truth, enter. A chill ran down his spine. Rovak stepped forward impatiently. Enough stalling. If there's anything left of their pathetic race, we will find it now. Before Karan could stop him, Rovak slammed his palm against the access panel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the door opened on its own. Beyond it lay a massive chamber. And in the center, a perfectly preserved human skeleton, seated in a chair. The Zyphron team fell silent. The remains were clothed in a uniform, a researcher, by the looks of it. But what made Karan's heart race was what lay beside the skeleton. A tablet. Still active. Still waiting. Karan reached for it, his hands trembling. The moment he touched the screen, it flickered to life. A video played. A human woman, worn and exhausted, looked directly into the camera. Her eyes held a strange mix of sorrow and determination. "If you're seeing this," she said, "then we were right." Karan's breath caught. The woman's voice was clear, as if she had recorded this only yesterday. "Our time was ending, but we refused to let it be the end. We had no war. No disease. No famine. But we had something greater than all of that." She leaned in. "We had a way out." The screen glitched. The message continued. "History will say we disappeared. That we failed. But the truth is, we left this world behind." Karan's fingers tightened around the tablet. "We found a way to evolve." Her voice grew softer, but more intense. "If you understand what we have done, you must make a choice." The video cut to black. A final message appeared on the screen. "Follow the path. Or leave, and forget us." A low hum filled the chamber. Something deep within the ruins was still active. And it was waiting. The words on the screen burned into Karan's mind. "Follow the path. Or leave, and forget us." The hum beneath the ruins grew louder. Something ancient, something untouched for centuries, was stirring. Rovak's mandibles clicked in frustration. "This is a waste of time. They are gone. Their kind was weak, doomed from the start." Karan ignored him. His gaze remained fixed on the final message left by the humans. They found a way to evolve. He pressed a command on his scanner, tracing the energy source. "The signal is coming from deeper inside." The team hesitated. Even Rovak, with all his arrogance, did not immediately protest. Something felt different about this place. Karan moved toward the far wall of the chamber, where the ancient text glowed faintly. He pressed his palm against it. The room shifted. Metallic walls retracted, revealing an entrance leading further underground. Beyond it, a massive corridor stretched into darkness. The air grew heavy, filled with an eerie static charge. It was as if something, or someone, was watching them. Karan took a breath. "We keep going." The corridor led them into an underground facility unlike anything they had seen before. Massive glass chambers lined the walls, filled with preserved records, strange artifacts, and what looked like human technology far ahead of its time. The Zyphron Empire had long dismissed humanity as primitive. But this place? This wasn't primitive. This was intentional. The energy source was close now. A large reinforced door stood before them, sealed tight. Rovak stepped forward, his patience worn thin. Enough mysteries. If there's anything left of them, we will find it now. He pressed a panel on the door. It slid open with a slow, mechanical hiss. Inside. A vast control room, its walls lined with blinking monitors still operational after centuries. And in the center. A cylindrical chamber filled with swirling, golden energy. Karan's breath caught. His scanner beeped erratically. This energy signature. It's not just power. It's biometric data. Rovak frowned. Explain. Karan swallowed. It's alive. A long pause filled the room. Then, a voice. Soft. Human. You finally came. Karan's blood ran cold. The golden energy inside the chamber shifted, forming a vague humanoid outline. A face flickered into view, a human man, middle-aged, his expression calm yet unreadable. His form was unstable, like a projection caught between dimensions. Karan took a slow step forward. Who are you? The figure's lips curled into a small smile. We are the last. Rovak stiffened. Impossible. Humanity is extinct. The human's gaze settled on him. Extinct? He chuckled, shaking his head. No. Not extinct. His voice turned softer. We evolved. Karan's mind raced. The messages, the ruins, the warnings, everything led to this moment. Rovak growled. Lies. A trick left by desperate creatures who couldn't accept their fate. The human's expression darkened. We accepted our fate. And then, we changed it. The golden energy pulsed. The walls of the facility reacted. Karan's scanner displayed incomprehensible readings. This place was alive. He looked back at the figure. Tell me, what did you do? The human's smile returned, faint but filled with something unshakable. Do you truly wish to know? Karan nodded. The human extended a hand. Then see for yourself. A sudden surge of light engulfed them. The Xiphron team vanished. And for the first time in centuries, the last humans shared their secret. Light engulfed Karan's vision, blinding and overwhelming. He felt his body pulled apart and reassembled in an instant, as if reality itself had fractured around him. The air was gone. The ground beneath him vanished. Then, a sudden calm. He stood in a place that should not exist. A vast, endless space stretched before him. It was not darkness, nor light. It was something in between, a shimmering void, pulsing with golden strands of energy. Karan turned sharply. His team was here, Rovak, stunned into silence, and the other Xiphron researchers, their usual arrogance replaced with awe. But they were not alone. Figures moved around them. At first, they were shadows, flickering on the edge of perception. But as Karan focused, they took shape, men, women, children, humans. Thousands of them. Not as ghosts, nor as projections. They were something more. Karan's breath caught. This is impossible. The figure from before, the human who had spoken to them in the chamber, appeared again, his golden form shifting like ripples in water. No, he said, his voice kind, almost amused. This is evolution. Karan took a step forward, his mind desperate to understand. What happened to you? The human's gaze softened. We left behind what was holding us back. His hand waved through the air, and suddenly, memories flooded into Karan's mind. He saw it. The final days of humanity. They had not fallen to war. There was no disease, no alien invasion. Instead, they had reached the limit of their existence, their bodies weak, their world dying. But instead of waiting for the end, they chose something greater. Through centuries of advancement, humanity unlocked something no species had before, the ability to transfer consciousness beyond the physical form. They were no longer bound by flesh. No longer tied to time or decay. They had merged into a collective existence, their minds connected in a vast, living energy network, stretching beyond what any species had ever imagined. It was not death. It was transcendence. And now, they existed everywhere, within the very fabric of their lost world, their presence hidden from those who could not comprehend. The vision faded. Karan gasped, staggering backward. His heart pounded. He looked at Rovak. The proud Zyphron commander stood frozen, his usual arrogance shattered. The human figure regarded them gently. You asked if we were extinct. Now you know the truth. Karan's voice was barely a whisper. You're still here. The human smiled. Yes. And we always have been. The golden strands of energy pulsed, and suddenly, Karan and his team were back in the underground facility. The air was thick with silence. No time had passed, yet Karan felt changed. He turned back to the glowing chamber. The human was gone, but the energy remained. Watching. Waiting. A final message appeared on the monitors, blinking softly. You have seen. Now you must choose. Karan's pulse raced. He had come searching for the last humans. He had found them. But now? What would he do with the truth? Karan stood frozen in the underground chamber, the faint hum of the energy network still vibrating in his ears. The truth of humanity's transcendence, their evolution beyond the physical, had left him shaken. But now, the message loomed before him, its words simple yet profound. You have seen. Now you must choose. The choice was his. Rovak was the first to break the silence. His mandibles clicked sharply as he stepped forward. This is absurd. You cannot seriously think about sharing this with anyone. It's impossible. The universe will never accept such a ridiculous claim. Karan didn't move. His thoughts were racing. Should he tell the universe? Reveal the ultimate truth that humanity had not perished, they had transcended? Or should he keep their secret hidden, preserving the mystery forever? For a moment, Karan's gaze drifted to the glowing energy that had enveloped humanity's consciousness. It was still alive, still waiting, as though it too awaited his decision. Rovak's voice was harsh, filled with skepticism. We came to document their fall, to mark the end of their species. But you, he looked at Karan, frustration building. You want to tell the universe that humans are still out there, that they have become something more? It's madness. The other researchers murmured their agreement, though their voices lacked the usual confidence. They had seen the impossible, felt the weight of it. Karan's fingers tightened around the tablet. His mind spun with the knowledge he had just unlocked. Humanity had found a way to survive, not through weapons, not through war, but through something greater. They had merged into a collective, one that had outlived their bodies. He glanced back at Rovak. Why should we deny them the truth? Rovak sneered. Because the galaxy is not ready for it. If we tell anyone, they'll think we're mad. They'll destroy us for speaking the impossible. But Karan couldn't silence the voice inside him, the voice that believed humanity's story was too important to remain hidden. As if sensing his conflict, the energy in the chamber shifted. Karan's scanner beeped erratically, and the voice from before, the human consciousness, echoed through the room, more powerful now than ever. You have been chosen to carry our story. It is yours now. What will you do with it? Karan stood taller, his heart beating faster. The human's message wasn't just a warning, it was a challenge. You have seen us, the voice continued. We did not perish, but evolved. Will you deny the universe the truth of our legacy? Or will you carry it forward? The weight of the question pressed down on him. The choice was his. If he revealed the truth, the galaxy would either reject it or seek to destroy it. But what if they didn't? What if the truth could change everything? The idea was overwhelming, terrifying. But Karen couldn't deny it any longer. Humanity had faced extinction. They had made the ultimate choice, to survive, not as they were, but as something greater. And now, the universe deserved to know. Karen turned back to the team, his decision clear. We will share their story. Rovak's eyes narrowed. You're a fool. You can't be serious. Karen met his gaze. I am. And I believe the universe will be better for knowing the truth. But just as he spoke, the chamber shifted again. The energy around them flickered. A presence, more powerful than ever, loomed over them. For a moment, Karen felt a jolt of fear. Had he made the wrong choice? Then the presence spoke, this time not through the air, but directly into his mind. Your choice is not yours alone. Karen froze. The voice was not human now, it was something else. A collective presence, vast and infinite. You will tell our story. You will share our legacy with the galaxy. But remember this, the truth comes with a price. Rovak backed away, fear rising in his voice. What price? The voice was both comforting and chilling. The universe is not ready. You may face rejection, persecution. But if you tell our story, you will carry our legacy forward. That is the price you must pay. Karen's resolve solidified. I'm ready. The presence faded, leaving Karen with an overwhelming sense of purpose. He knew the journey ahead would not be easy. The universe would never accept humanity's truth without resistance. But Karen believed in their legacy, humanity had chosen hope over extinction, and now it was time for the galaxy to hear their story. He turned back to the team. We are going to do this. We will tell the universe what humanity has become. Rovak, now silent, watched him with a mixture of disbelief and fear. Karen stepped toward the control panel. The team hesitated, but one by one, they followed. The message would be sent. The hum of the control room had shifted since Karen's decision. It was no longer a mere background noise, it was alive, like the heartbeat of the ancient facility that had held humanity's secret for so long. Karen's fingers hovered over the console, the weight of his choice pressing down on him with every second. The universe will know. The truth will be told. No matter the cost. Behind him, Rovak stood in silence, his earlier defiance replaced by uncertainty. The other Xiphron researchers were similarly still, caught between awe and fear. Karen had made his decision, but now, as the console flickered to life, he felt an unexpected weight in the air. The truth was more than just a story, it was a legacy, one that could reshape the entire galaxy. He pressed the button. The message, humanity's final testament, began to transmit. The words were simple, but their power was undeniable. The images flickered on the screen, showing humans in their final moments, before they transcended. They would share everything, how they had chosen to evolve beyond their physical forms, how they had become part of the very fabric of existence itself, how they had survived, not just as a species, but as something more. Karen's heart raced as the transmission began to spread across the galaxy. He knew the universe would be watching. Some would call it a miracle. Others would call it a lie. But either way, humanity's story would be heard. The team stood in tense silence as the transmission continued. There was no going back now. Karen's eyes flicked to the control screen, watching as the signal spread, one system at a time. Minutes passed. Then, a warning flashed across the screen. Incoming message, galactic response. The room grew still. Karen's stomach clenched. The universe was responding. Rovak was the first to speak, his voice low but filled with trepidation. This is it. The galaxy's response. They'll call us insane, call us liars, and worse. What have you done, Karan? Karan didn't reply. His gaze remained fixed on the screen. And then, the response appeared. It was from the Xiphron Council, the galaxy's most powerful authority. The message was cold, calculated. Your report is under review. The claim that humanity transcended is unacceptable. You are to return immediately. Any further transmission of this nature will be treated as a violation of galactic policy. Rovak's eyes widened. I told you they wouldn't believe us. Now we're facing their wrath. But Karan's resolve did not falter. The voice of the human consciousness echoed in his mind, you will carry our story forward. No matter the cost. He looked at Rovak and the others. They don't understand. But we have done the right thing. A sudden alarm blared in the control room, cutting him off. Karan turned to the screen. Another message had arrived, this one from a different source. It was a holographic transmission from a smaller, independent faction, the Zalrith Coalition. They were known for their rebellious stance against the galactic establishment, always questioning authority. The message flickered to life. The voice that came through was urgent, filled with excitement. Karan, we've seen the transmission. We believe you. Humanity's story isn't just important, it's the future. Karan blinked. The figure on the screen, a Zalrith ambassador, continued, the galaxy is not ready for this truth yet. But we know something the Xiphron Council doesn't. Humanity's choice, to evolve, to transcend, is not the end of their legacy. It's the beginning. And we want to help you spread the message. The room went silent. Karan's mind raced. There were others who believed them. Others who were willing to stand beside them. Rovak was still skeptical, but his voice softened. If the Zalrith believe this, then perhaps there is more at play here than we realize. Karan nodded. They are not alone in their beliefs. I feel it, too. The truth we've shared, it's too powerful to ignore. The galaxy will have no choice but to listen. But even as he spoke, he knew that the path ahead would not be easy. There would be resistance. There would be those who sought to suppress the truth, to silence them. But Karan had already made his choice. Humanity's legacy would endure. As the Zalrith began sending additional support, the Xiphron team prepared for the inevitable conflict. The response from the Council would not be the end of the matter. Karan turned to the others. We have made our decision, and we will stand by it. But the fight has only just begun. We will need allies. We will need the galaxy to understand. Rovak looked at him, his eyes betraying a mix of disbelief and reluctant respect. You truly believe this is worth the risk? Karan met his gaze, his voice steady. I do. Because in the end, humanity chose hope. And that is a lesson the galaxy can't afford to forget. Karan stood at the helm of the control room, his fingers pressing against the console as the transmission from the Xiphron Council blinked once again on the screen. The warning was unmistakable. Their message had sparked chaos, uncertainty, and the beginning of a galactic war of words. The galaxy was not prepared for the truth. But Karan had already made his choice. He turned to his team. Rovak, once certain they had made a grave mistake, now stood silently by his side, his expression a mixture of resignation and reluctant understanding. The others were equally quiet, each of them grappling with the gravity of the decision that had been made. It's too late now, Karan muttered, almost to himself. We've set the wheels in motion. We can't stop it. But we can make sure the truth is heard. Rovak's voice was low. The galaxy is no longer just watching. They're preparing. If we don't move quickly, we may never get the chance to speak again." Karan nodded. His heart was heavy with the knowledge of the consequences, but he wasn't going to back down. The universe deserved to know the legacy of humanity, the choice humanity had made. "We've already made our choice," Karan said, his voice firm. "And it's time to make sure the galaxy knows why humanity's legacy is more than just survival. It's about the will to overcome the impossible." The hours that followed were a whirlwind of activity. Messages poured in from various factions, some supportive, others questioning, and many more condemning the decision to spread the truth. The Xiphron Council's response was swift and unforgiving. They demanded that Karan and his team return immediately, threatening to classify their actions as a threat to galactic security. But there were also other messages, quieter, from those who understood, who believed that humanity's evolution was not a threat, but a lesson. Karan's team began working with the Zalrith coalition, coordinating their efforts to spread the message further. The truth was powerful, undeniable, but the resistance was fierce. Karan knew that this fight would not be won in a day, or a week, or even a year. It would take time, effort, and a great deal of sacrifice. The Zalrith had promised their support, but they were a small faction. They could not face the full power of the Xiphron Empire alone. And so, Karan knew that they would need to form alliances with others, factions that, while skeptical, were not as rigid as the Xiphron Council. The Alliance of Free Worlds was one such group. They had always stood against the rigid structures of galactic rule, preferring freedom over control. It wasn't long before Karan's team was on the move, navigating the galaxies, spreading the truth wherever they could. And with every world they reached, the story began to spread, a story of humanity's ultimate choice, their transcendence, their evolution. Months passed. The resistance remained fierce, and Karan found himself facing challenges he had never imagined. The Xiphron Empire's grip on the galaxy was tight, and they fought back in ways that were as ruthless as they were sophisticated. Karan's team became outlaws, their names blacklisted in the galactic archives. Their lives were now in constant danger. But the message was alive. Everywhere they went, new voices joined their cause. Those who had been dismissed, forgotten, or silenced began to rise, inspired by the belief that humanity's legacy was one that could change the very course of the universe. And in the darkest moments, Karan was reminded of the one thing that had brought them here, humanity's unbreakable will to survive, even in the face of impossible odds. It was not the body that had survived, it was the will. The human desire to keep moving forward, to always find hope, no matter how dire the circumstances. And that, Karan realized, was the ultimate lesson humanity had left for the galaxy. Survival is not about physical strength, but the strength of spirit. The final confrontation came when the Xiphron Council, in their desperation to suppress the truth, launched an attack on one of the free worlds that had begun to support Karan's message. The battle was inevitable. It would determine the fate of the galaxy, and the future of humanity's legacy. Karan stood on the bridge of the Zalrith ship, watching as the battle unfolded before him. The Xiphron fleet advanced, their weapons primed. It was a fight they could not win, but one they had to face. The truth, Karan knew, was more important than their survival. The future of the galaxy depended on it. As the battle raged on, a wave of unexpected support came from an alliance of independent worlds, worlds that had long been oppressed by the Council's rule. They arrived not as conquerors, but as fellow truth-bearers, standing alongside Karan in a final stand for freedom. The Xiphron fleet faltered, caught off guard by the sheer force of unity from the free peoples of the galaxy. And in that moment, Karan realized something powerful. Humanity's legacy wasn't just about transcending. It was about the connections they had made, the unity they had inspired in others. With the Xiphron fleet retreating, Karan knew that the truth had won, for now. The fight wasn't over, but they had shown the galaxy that hope could still change the course of the future. As the dust settled, Karan stood on the balcony of the Zalrith ship, looking out at the vast stars. The galaxy was not perfect. It was fractured, broken in many places. But it was alive with the potential for change. And for the first time, Karen felt at peace. Humanity had done more than survive. They had given the galaxy something to believe in. He turned to Rovak, who had stood by his side through it all. "We did it," Karen said softly. Rovak nodded, his tone calm but thoughtful. "No. You did it. You gave the galaxy something that it didn't even know it needed." Karen smiled. Humanity's legacy isn't about being remembered. It's about making a difference, even when it seems impossible. And as he looked out at the stars, Karen knew that the true legacy of humanity would endure, not in their bodies, but in the hearts of those who chose to believe in the impossible. The story was just beginning.